Ready? All right, now in the last video, we stopped at this point where I was trying to tell us that the fact that you exported a variable, all right, in one build does not mean that variable is available in the other job, okay? So that is basically where we stopped, and then we said that is the reason why this job actually failed. So how do we solve this issue? All right, basically, so that the environmental variable, all right, that is available or exported in one job can be available to the other jobs, all right, within our pipeline. So what do we do and how do we solve that? So now let's go back to our job here. Now here, I'm basically going to just, do, all right, something here. So I'm going to say echo, all right, watch this. I'm going to say echo version, all right. So basically, I'm taking that version and I'm basically passing that into, all right, this particular file. So I'm creating a file and then .txt. Right now, if you understand a little bit of Linux, you know that when you do your echo command, you can also use the echo command to create a file, right? So whatever the value of version is will be stored inside of this file. That's basically what we are trying to achieve here. Okay, so the value, all right, of version, all right, whatever is contained in the version variable should be stored into, all right, this file. Now, the fact that I'm storing it into this file does not also mean that it's going to be available to the other jobs. All right, so I still need to do, all right, something. And that is where your artifact comes in. Now, the artifact keyword, sorry, all right, the artifact keyword is actually what you use, all right, to store, all right, variables, right? If you have any report, if you have anything that you want to basically store within your GitLab pipeline, you can actually store it, all right, as an artifact. An artifact basically means that that thing becomes available, all right, to other jobs, which means if you store something as an artifact, you can reference that artifact in other jobs, all right, and make use, all right, of that artifact. So that is basically what we're going to do here. So I'm going to say path. Okay, so we're going to say path. And then, so what is the path? So basically we're storing, all right, the version file.txt. So that's basically what we want to store. So that's the artifact, all right, that we want to store. Now, the question is, how do we now make this available, all right, in the other job? So in the push job, how do we make use of the value that has been stored into this file? How do we make use of it so that, this version ID can be referenced correctly, all right, without any kind of issue, okay? So now I'm just going to remove all of these echoes that we have here. We don't need them anymore, okay? And right here, I'm going to say before script, okay, and I'm going to do export, all right? So what am I exporting actually? All right, so basically, watch this. So we're going to be exporting. So I'm going to create another variable here called version. All right, and so what am I doing? So I'm going to do a command substitution. So I'm just basically going to say cat version. All right, so that'll be version -file. All right, .txt. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So basically, I am reading this artifact, right, that is now available within the pipeline. Okay, I am reading that artifact and then I'm passing the value, all right, stored into this artifact. I'm passing that value into this version variable that is now available within, all right, my own push job. Okay, so that's basically what I'm doing here, right? So, and now if I run the script now, everything should actually work, all right, as expected. So now I can do Git, I can do Docker push, all right, the CI registry image, and then the version. So this version basically is now getting its value, all right, from the artifact that was basically stored, all right, in the build phase. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing. So now let's push this and let's see what happens with this now. So I'm going to say git add, let's just do git commit -am, okay? And then let's say artifact available, all right, to other jobs, okay? And then let's push this, all right? And then let's see what happens now with this new development. So I'm going to come back here to pipeline. All right, and the pipeline should be started already. So let's check that out and let's see, all right, what happens this time around. So I'm going to pause here and then I'm come back when this thing is done. Now look at that. Everything now completed successfully. So if I click here and look at the build image, let's look at the logs and let's see what happened now. So here, now look at that. It says Docker push, all right, the CI, all right, image registry, and then the version. So now it's not telling us that, invalid format reference, right? So basically it was able to see that, and then the job was pushed. So look at the ID 1.0.28. So now if you go to deploy, all right, and you click on container registry, okay, and then you click here. All right, now you can see the job right here. You can see the image rather right here. So 1.0.28. So you can see that it didn't override, all right, the previous image basically, right? So now we have two tags, and then we have this total size, all right, of image. So we have 1.0, all right, 0.28, and that is exactly what we want. So we don't want any kind of, image override, right? We basically just want to keep a copy, all right, of every of the image that we built, basically. So that's what we want to achieve. So now it is time to deploy, all right, our image, all right, on EC2. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So here, let's launch another instance that will be our development server. So let's just call it, deployment server, or let's just call it the dev server, right? Okay, and then let's pick up, Ubuntu. So let's choose Ubuntu right here. And of course, we go with the 24.04 T2 micro. Make sure you stay within the free tier, very important. All right, and then you choose your key, select existing security group, all right, and choose this one that we created together in the last video. And then you have to launch your instance. Now, but before you launch your instance, now we are going to be deploying a Docker, all right, image, basically, on this particular server. So that means we must have Docker installed, all right, on this server. So what do we do? How can we do that? I mean, we can actually just bootstrap, all right, our server to basically, install Docker and do all the things that we feel, should be done, basically, right? So we're going to scroll down and click on advanced details. And then we're going to go all the way down. So what we're going to do here is basically we're going to take this Docker script that we have configured already here. All right. So we're going to take this. All right. And we're going to basically just copy all of the script and then put it here. Now, that is why it is important for you to understand shell scripting, okay? Because, I mean, with shell scripting, there are a lot of things you can actually do. I mean, with shell scripting now, I'm bootstrapping, all right, my instance with, Docker installation and all of that. So I don't have to wait until the instance is up and running before I can now start, installing my Docker. I can actually just bootstrap it with Docker installation, all right, and then when it starts up, Docker is actually available, and then I can build and, basically just pull my image and run my Docker container on the instance, all right away. Okay, so that's the purpose of shell scripting right there. So let's launch the instance now. And then by the time the instance is up and running, we basically just go and verify, all right, if Docker was actually installed, all right, or not. And if you look at the script also, we also run a command here, which is basically to add the Ubuntu user, all right, to the Docker group. So that, I mean, our Ubuntu user can actually execute Docker commands without, all right, getting any permissions denied, all right, error. Okay, so that's the importance of shell scripting there. So here, the dev server is already running, but of course, let's wait for it to, finish all the old initialization and all of that. And while this dev server is running, we're going to have to do something. So the dev server is associated with this GitLab runner key. Okay, so now I'm going to open up my terminal. All right, I'm going to have to find that key. Okay, so I'm going to go into where the key is, probably, all right, where I downloaded it. And I should see it right here, which is the GitLab, all right, run a key, okay, right here. All right, so I'm going to clear my screen, and then I don't know if the cat command is going to work here, but let's give that a try. All right, so GitLab run a key, it's what I'm looking for. All right, so GitLab run a key. Okay, why do I keep getting GitLab? So let me get the correct name right here. So this is what I'm looking for. All right, so I'm going to copy that. Okay, so copy that. And then let's clear the screen again. So I'm going to do cat, and then I'm going to drop that here. Okay. Now this key is also, should also be available, all right, on your GitLab instance, basically, right? It should be available within your repository. So I'm just going to grab this, or I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to come here quickly, and then I'm going to come to my settings, and then I will go to CICD, okay? And then I'm going to come here to where I have variables, right? So I'm going to expand that, and then I'm going to add variable. All right, so it's going to be the type file, all right, and of course it's going to be visible. You can't mask it because of, the key actually contains some, different kind of is a mix of different characters basically. So there's plus, there's slash, and you can mask all of that in the GitLab repo. Of course, it's not going to be visible in the log actually, okay, but then and you can also expand as well. So let's just put the key here, and of course we're going to give the key, all right, a name. So let's call it SSH, all right, underscore private underscore key. Okay, so let's call it that name, SSH underscore private, all right, underscore key, and that's all we need to do. And then I'm going to say add variable. All right, so I'll cancel this, and then my variable, all right, has been added, because I need to authenticate with my server in order to run my, basically deploy my Docker image on that server. So we need the SSH key, all right, of that server actually. So let's refresh again. Let's see if this instance is up and running now. All right, so it looks to see the instance is up. So let's click on connect here. Let's grab this example, and then let's go back to, all right, this place. And then let's drop it here. All right, let's connect to our instance. So you're going to say yes. Okay. And then here we have it. So we have the Ubuntu user. So let's see if the Ubuntu user can run, all right, the commands. And then there you go. So that is the power, all right, of shell scripting right there. So we bootstrapped the instance with Docker installation, all right, and all of that. And then now Docker is available on this instance. So now we can begin to write, all right, the deploy job in our pipeline to deploy our image, all right, to this particular, all right, instance. Okay. So that is what we want to do here. So now it's time to go back to our GitLab CI, all right, and begin to write, all right, our deploy job basically. Okay, so let's add another face. So we're going to call that deploy, all right, to underscore dev basically. Okay, so we're deploying, all right, to dev. Okay, or let's just say deploy. Let's just call it deploy. We're deploying to, all right, to dev. Okay, so let's call that just deploy. And of course, we're going to add another stage here. Okay, so we already added the stage, which is deploy. So we're going to come here, and then we're going to say the stage, all right, is going to be what? The stage is going to be deploy, right? So stage, okay, is going to be deploy. All right. So stage is deploy. And then of course, don't forget your tags. We're building with, we're building with, sorry, let's make sure that our indentation is correct. All right, so we're building using the Docker. All right, we're doing everything we're doing with the Docker executor. Okay, so now here we're also going to say, all right, needs. Basically, this needs the push underscore image, right? You cannot deploy if you've not built the image, right? So the image has to be built, has to be pushed into the registry, and then you can actually now download or pull from the registry and then deploy, all right, from there. So this job needs to depend, all right, on the push image. Okay, so now here we need to do some before script. All right, so we need to do some before script. And one of the things that we need to do here is actually an instruction that we have here. So AWS actually has informed us that we need to do this, all right, chmod 400, all right, on this key, basically, all right, in order to ensure that it is only the instance that can read the key and not, all right, any other person. Okay, so we need to run this command right within our pipeline as well. So here it's going to be chmod, all right, 400. And don't forget, we already created a variable, all right, for that. So we're going to just copy this variable name, okay? And then we're going to put that right here, like this. So, that is going to reference our key, all right? So that's what we want to do. Now, another thing that we can also do here is basically we need to now say script. So what is the thing that we want to run exactly? Oops, sorry. Okay, so script, and then here we need to run some SSH commands. So SSH, all right, now when you authenticate into, all right, a server for the very first time, it shows you this, information about the key, and it asks you, do you want to allow or you want to add? And then you say yes, basically, right? Now, our pipeline is not, all right, supposed to be interactive, because if your pipeline is interactive, your pipeline can actually get stuck. Okay, now there are cases where your pipeline can be interactive, where you can actually do some kind of manual approval and all of that. But in this case, where we want to authenticate to a system, then we don't need that, interactivity, right? So we basically just want to, allow the pipeline to basically communicate or connect to our instance and then deploy our image. That's basically what we want to achieve, right? So I'm going to say sh-o, And then here, I'm going to say strict, all right, strict host key checking. All right, so strict host key checking equals to what? Equals to no. So basically what I'm saying here is that, I mean, don't bother about, whether you want to add the key or not, just go ahead and authenticate with my, all right, server. That's basically what I'm doing right here. So I'm going to say -hi, and then I'm going to specify the SSH, all right, key. So I can actually just copy that from here. So basically I'm specifying the key that I want to use, all right? So I'm going to go grab that from here. And then once you do that, you basically also specify, all right, the user. So we're dealing with the Ubuntu user, all right, and then here you need to specify, all right, the IP address, all right, of your server. So here, I can actually define that variable right here. So I can make it a global variable. So variables, okay, so variable, I'm going to say server, all right, underscore IP, all right, equals, let's go grab that. So I'm going to come back here. All right, so let's go back here and then let's grab this. So this is the IP address for the server. So I'm going to pull that here basically. All right, so let's put some space here as well. Okay, so that is giving us some kind of vibes right there. All right, so that's I think that's my mistake. So this should be column like this, right? So in YAML, basically, you don't really use equals to. You basically just use, a colon, okay? So that's the server IP right there. So I'm going to copy this. It's a variable now, so it's available globally. All right, so, and then I'm going to come here. I'm going to put the $sign. I'm going to reference this, all right, like this. So that's basically what we need to do right there. Okay, so now that is, all right, the IP address. So what other thing do I want to do? Now, the first thing that I've done here is to authenticate, all right, with the server. The second thing I need to do is to log in, all right, to that is to do Docker login on that server so that I'm able to pull, okay, the image from the image registry. Now, why do I need to do a Docker login? Now, the GitLab container registry, it's a private, all right, container registry that is available within, all right, our GitLab, all right, SAB, which is the repository that we're using, okay? So it is not publicly accessible. So I need to do Docker login, all right, in order to pull or to fetch image, all right, from that container registry. So how do I do that? So I'm basically going to open up, all right, this double apostrophe right here, all right, and then I'm going to say Docker, all right. So watch this, login -u, basically. So what we did with the push image, right? So basically, I can actually just grab this, okay, just grab this right here, all right, and then you can replace that with this, all right, like this. Okay, so Docker login, all right, the registry user, the registry password, and of course the registry. But one thing that you need to add here is to put your double ampersand. Basically, the command still continues. That is what you're trying to say right here. Okay, that's exactly what you're trying to say here. And so here, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say Docker, all right, run. I've authenticated with the registry, so now I can actually pull, all right, from that registry. So I can say Docker run -d -p. So my application runs on port 3000. Okay, so I'm going to open up port 3000, all right, on the host server, and then port 3000, all right, on the container side, all right, as well. So what's the image that I'm trying to pull now? Okay, so here, what's the image we're trying to pull? Let's see. So the image I'm trying to pull is actually, all right, so let's take a look at that. So here we can actually use, all right, the registry image and then of course the version right here. That's going to work actually, all right? And we can also put that into, all right, basically a variable as well, okay? But we can just use it as is like this, right? Because this right here, it's a predefined variable, all right? And this version also is something that is, all right, also available to us that we can also use as well. Okay, so let's see how we can actually, all right, just do that. But then, do you know that if I want to use this version, right, I need to also I need to also do something like this, right? I need to also do something like this if I want to use, all right, that. So I'm just going to come here, all right. So I'm going to copy this, all right, and then I'm going to put that in the before script, all right, as well. Okay. So I'm going to put that in the before script. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. So I'm going to put that here. I'm making it available also. Now I can actually just copy what I have here, okay, like this. So the CI registry image, all right, I mean, that is what we want to just, that's what we want to use basically. Okay, so that's the image name actually. So we don't need to create a variable, all right, for that. So I'm just going to put it like this. So the CI registry image. So basically I'm saying Docker run, all right, -d, which is basically to run in the background. And then -p there basically means, all right, the port. Okay, and then I'm basically pulling the image, of course, and the tag. I mean, so that, I mean, it is basically just going to pull what I have in my container registry for me. All right, that is actually what this will do. Okay, so now that we are done with this, okay, one more thing or one more trick that we can add is actually something here. So if you come here to deploy or basically to operate, you'll find this environment right here. All right. So here I don't have any environment that I've created, right? So anytime you deploy an application, you can actually create an environment that will contain a URL, all right, to that environment, right? You can actually do that within the GitLab, all right, environment. So how do I actually configure, all right, how do I configure that? So here, we're going to come here and say environment. All right, so we're going to say environment. I hope I got that correctly. All right, and then we'll say the name of the environment. So let's say the name of the environment is development or something, development. Okay, and then we can also give the URL, all right, of the environment, right? Now, the reason why this is giving us an error is that the environment is actually on the same line with development. And meanwhile, the environment should be under, all right, your job. Okay, it is not an independent, all right, thing, all right, within GitLab. So it should actually be under, all right, the deploy job, basically. Okay, so here I'm going to tag this, all right, like this, and then I'm going to move this one also like this, right? So the environment URL is going to be this. So let's basically create a variable, all right, for that. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, let's call it dev. So we can call it dev underscore, all right, endpoint, basically. Okay. So let's call that dev endpoint. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my instance and then I'm going to use this public DNS right here. So I'm going to grab that. Okay. And I'm going to just put that between a curly brace like this. All right. And I'm going to just put some HTTP at the beginning like this. And then, of course, I know that my application is going to open up on about 3000. So I need to put the 3000, all right here as well. So this is going to be the URL, all right, that will be available in that environment. So if I go to this environment now, I should see, all right, some kind of environment configuration that allow me to click a link, all right, that will direct me, all right, to my server. So that way I don't have to necessarily, all right, go to my AWS environment and then get my URL before I can access my application. I can access my application, all right, directly from the GitLab CI/CD. So I'll grab this, okay, grab the name here, all right, and then I'm going to put that here, so like this. So I'm basically using a variable, all right, for that. So guys, this is the deploy phase, and let's go ahead and let's deploy this, and let's see if we've done, all right, a good job. Okay, so let's push this, all right, into the repo, and let's see what happens now. So deploy phase added, okay, and then git push. All right, so we've pushed, okay, so let's go back, all right, to build, and then we go to pipeline. All right, so the pipeline has started already. So let's just watch and let's see what happens now. So I'm going to pause here, all right, and then I'll come back when all these things is done. So look at that. Now, the job actually failed. All right, so the deploy phase failed. So let's take a look at what happened, all right, why the job actually failed. So here it says login succeeded. So it was able to connect, all right, it was able to authenticate, all right, with the container registry. And that this one here also shows us that it was able to also log in, all right, into that instance, all right. But then at the point of running that image, that was where, all right, we had the challenge. Okay, that was where the problem actually occurred. So how do we solve this actually? Because I mean, that tells us basically that it wasn't able to, all right, get this particular, all right, version. So it says invalid, all right, image, format, basically, right? Invalid reference format. So that is what we see right here. So in the next, all right, video, we will see how we can actually solve, all right, this, all right, error. Okay, so thank you. I will see you, all right, in the next video.